Can you hear me okay? Okay, great. Thank you. Welcome. Sorry I was late this morning, and thank Dr. Rob Lamberger to do the opening welcome to you, and welcome to this two-day workshop. As you already heard from Dr. Yu, we will have very exciting program prepared for you. So I'm going to start the first session by providing you with an overview of the pre-ENDA program, what it entails, and what we designed to help the industry to develop a complex generic drug products. So this definition, many of you probably already been aware of. It's a complex product is a defined term in the GDUFA II commitment letters, which includes those product types which are very complex to develop that have special regulatory programs to associate with to support the development of those products, where the traditional PK endpoint study may not be feasible or sufficient to demonstrate equivalence or sameness. So they include complex active ingredients, complex formulations, complex route of delivery, complex dosage forms, complex drug device combination, and some other products where complexity or uncertainty concerning the approval pathway or other alternative approach would benefit from early scientific engagement. You see that early scientific engagement is a unique feature in the GDUFA II, which is part of the pre-ENDA program. So in order to determine what a complex, non-complex, if you think about the traditional oral dosage forms, tablets, capsules, solutions, or suspensions, there are many, including those solid oral modified release dosage forms, although they could be complex in the formulation itself, but in terms of regulatory pathway, they may not be as complicated as other products, and also in solutions for topical or parenteral administration in general not considered as complex product under GDUFA II. But the other part of the category, including those complex active ingredients such as peptide drugs, those locally acting drugs, as well as those drug device combination, which human factors can play a role, all these, and also more recently, the abuse deterrent formulation, opiates, all considered complex products. So in terms of pre-ENDA program for complex products, we know under GDUFA I, we started the GDUFA research and science to support to generate those standards and guidance to support the development of generic drug products, and also all these tied together to support our review. But one unique feature in the GDUFA II is the pre-ENDA meetings. That's the component where early engagement of industry with the FDA exists. And we have three types of meetings, including product development meeting, pre-submission meeting, and mid-review cycle meeting. And my next speaker, Chris Andra, will give you more detailed overview and explanation of these programs. So the goal of the pre-ENDA program under GDUFA II is really fourfold. First, we want to use it to clarify regulatory expectations for prospective applicants early in drug development. We also want to assist applicants to develop more complete submissions, which Dr. Yu said we want more first cycle approvals. And also we want to promote a more efficient and effective ENDA assessment process at the FDA. And ultimately, we want to reduce the number of review cycles required to obtain ENDA approval, in particular for those complex products. Ultimately, the goal is to have more drug access to the public. So in terms of my presentation, I'm going to talk each component of the pre-ENDA program in a high level. So there are four components in the pre-ENDA program. The first one is research. Second is guidance. I'm going to focus more on the product-specific guidances. And also the third is the pre-ENDA meeting. And lastly is the control correspondence. So in terms of research, this started under GDUFA I. So the scope is really for the FDA to conduct internal as well as external research to support the fulfillment of submission assessment and pre-ENDA commitments. So as part of the research program, you're already aware we have many public workshops. Yearly, we do have the public workshops to solicit input from industry and other stakeholders for inclusion in an annual list of our GDUFA research initiative priority. And interested party may propose those regulatory science initiative via email to generic drugs email, as listed on the slide. And after considering those input, FDA will post the list of FDA website, which I will show you the website in the next slide. So you will know where to find those priority lists, and you will also know what internal and intramural and extramural research that FDA is supported. And in addition, under GDUFA 2, the industry can form a regular science working group. And what it entails is that this group can meet with FDA twice in a year to meet with FDA to discuss current and emerging challenges and concerns. So this is a way of more outreach and interactions. And we also, in addition to doing this research, we want to also report those research outcomes. On an annual basis, FDA report on our website the extent to which GDUFA regular science funded projects to support the development of generic drug products, generate the evidence needed to support efficient assessment and timely approval of ANDAs, including both complex and non-complex products, and also the standards to evaluate generic drug equivalence. And we also generate a lot of value, as Dr. Yu also mentioned. Since GDUFA 2, we already have 4 public workshops to focus on discussing complex generics, and this is the 5th one. In addition, in May, we also had our annual public workshop on generic drug research program. So this is the website, and the link is on the bottom of the slides. You can visit this website often to get information about GDUFA science and research, including research, reports, workshops, and all the information you want to learn from this program. So the second category for the pre-ANDA meeting programs, or pre-ANDA program, is the guidance. So in addition to general guidances that you may be aware of, for generic drug products, we also have product-specific guidance. That's mainly to provide clear and more direct advice to ANDA applicants on a product-specific manner. So these product-specific guidance, are called PSG, identify the methodology for developing drugs and generate evidence needed to support those generic drug approval. As of today, we have approximately 16,000 PSG available for as of September this year. And new PSGs are usually issued on a quarterly basis. And we also have more PS generated or developed for for complex products under development and also being published. So the goal for these guidance is really, under GDUFA 2, we also have specific goals on when those PSGs should be developed and issued. So for new molecular entity or new chemical entity products under GDUFA 2, FDA will issue PSG for 90% of the NCE ANDAs approved on or after starting of the GDUFA 2, at least 2 years prior to the earliest lawful ANDA filing date. Our goal is really to have the guidance available 2 years actually after the drug is approved. And for complex products, although we want to meet the same goal due to the complexity of developing those guidance and evidence and science needed to develop those guidance, so we have pre-ANDA meeting for those complex products if there's no PSG available, because the time in developing those took some time, and we welcome the industry if you want to develop a product for complex products. If there's no PSG, you can come to the FDA to have request a pre-ANDA meeting. And we also will strive to issue those PSG for complex products as soon as scientific recommendations are available. And of course, for other products, we always continuously generate or develop those guidance based on requests from the regulated industry and public health priorities. We view that timely development of PSG can optimize our ANDA reviews for all product categories. So we want to provide the industry with the guidance early in the development, and also we want to coordinate between guidance development and also revision and also the ANDA review, and we want to keep all these guidance up to date to facilitate the drug development. And timely PSG also enables access to generics in all product categories. So we used those PSG. We communicate our research results and to develop those PSG. And we also use the PSG can help us manage our pre-ENDA meeting capacity. So if there's a PSG, we do not have to have the pre-ENDA meeting for that particular product, then we can focus our resource on some other more needed products if there's no PSG. So the PSG really drives our pre-ENDA process. So if there's a question, if you have a question on a guidance or PSG, you can send us a control correspondence, which will be explained more later on how to do it and when you do it. And for complex product, and if you have an alternative approach to guidance within the same study type, you may also consider control correspondence as a way to communicate with. There's some benefit in terms of timeline, in terms of planning, which Chris will explain more later. And also, as I already alluded to you, if it's a complex product, there's no PSG, no guidance, we will award the pre-ENDA meetings to communicate with you early in the drug development. And also, if even there's a PSG, but you have an alternative way to demonstrate equivalence or sameness with a different study type, you can also request a pre-ENDA meeting. So now I'm going to talk about a third part, which is new under GDUFA 2 is pre-ENDA meetings. So this pre-ENDA meeting is designed to accelerate access to generic complex products through early engagement with the FDA. And we have 3 types. And at the bottom, there's a guidance on this pre-ENDA meetings. And last category is the control correspondence or controls. Under GDUFA 2, we have 2 types of control which associate with different timelines and which deal with different questions or requests. So for standard control, it's similar to under GDUFA 2, it's a 60 days go date. They generally use for requests for information on a specific element of a generic product developed, for example, Q1, Q2, which you will hear more later, and also maybe used for information on certain post-approval submission requirements. Under GDUFA 2, we also have a control called complex control. They are not necessarily only for complex products, but the name tells you it has a longer timeline, which is 120 days. So they namely use for those more complex requests, takes longer to evaluate, for example, evaluation of the clinical content, review of protocols for drugs that reference list drug with REMS or ITASU requirement, and also it could be an alternative BE within the same study type. You may use this complex control mechanisms. So as we all hear from the previous speakers, really the GDUFA research sets as a foundation for our review and policy development. And they help us to support the general and product-specific guidance development. They also help us to set a scientific foundation to support the pre-ENDA meeting communication and control correspondence to the industry. Altogether, they help us make science-based, evidence-based regulatory decision-making or develop those generic drug products. So we view that pre-ENDA program with all these elements, it's really value added, especially for complex products. If you consider pre-GDUFA or pre-GDUFA 2, previously our work is mainly often backloaded because we may not issue the PSG far enough ahead for industry to rely on when they develop their product. And companies oftentimes are unclear, may not be clear with regard to regulatory expectations, and they may submit some package or submissions with missed key elements. And also, FDA may not start to think about those tough issues after the ENDA was received. So there could be cost, numerous review cycles, or delay in the approval of certain drug products. Under GDUFA 2, we want to move more to the front load or proactive manner. So by issuing timely PSGs for both new molecular entity or new chemical entity drugs or complex products. And we continue to have our research to support the pathways for generic product development and also standards generation recommendation for demonstrate therapeutic equivalence. And again, we also have the pre-ENDA meetings to discuss issues and the regulatory expectation with the industry in a timely manner to ensure high quality submissions. And overall, we want in turn reduce the review cycle and have more first cycle approvals. I hope in the future we will be able to develop more of those outcomes to you in future workshops. So the pre-ENDA program really, although Office of Generic Drugs is leading these efforts at FDA, this is really a multidisciplinary engagement at CDER. So this slide shows you the pre-ENDA program. We, in addition to OGD taking the lead, we have close collaboration with Office of Product Quality, OPQ, Office of Translational Sciences, OTS, and other FDA offices. And in terms of Office of Generic Drugs, this diagram shows you the structure of the Office OGD. We have immediate office, we have Office of Research Standards, which is ORS, Office of Bioequivalence, Office of Regulatory Operation, and Office of Generic Drug Policy. All together, we work together to lead the pre-ENDA and also ENDA GDUFA programs. So in terms of the ORS, the office which I'm residing in, and the office who leads this, leads the regulatory science and also the workshop, the ORS is a multidisciplinary office in OGD that plans and conducts research and translate those research results into generic drug standards. So we have this diagram summarized very well about the multiple venue ways we are doing in the cycle, life cycle of the research and standards. So starting with plan the research, then we execute the research, use the research result to create those standards and also communicate those standards to the public, through the guidance, through the workshop, and ultimately those results will impact the review and review quality. Although we do it in a linear fashion, but you can think this is the cycle of the process, because a lot of review questions may bring back to the research to find out an innovative way to address those challenges, and hopefully will drive more approval of the high quality generic drugs that demonstrate safe and effectiveness. And through this process, you can see we really have to do this through interaction with multiple stakeholders, both within the FDA as well as external, outside FDA. And throughout the workshop program today and tomorrow, you will see many speakers, not only from OIS, but from other parts of the CDER to talk about their research, their review, and other aspects to support this pre-ENDA program. So I just want to illustrate to you again, the objective of this workshop is first to communicate how FDA research outcomes guide and facilitate complex generic drug product development. We want to link and also leverage our GDUFA science and research on complex product to product-specific guidance development, also to discuss the pre-ENDA meetings and also review, and also we want to examine science related to complex products in various product areas. We touch all categories of the complex products in a very comprehensive way. We want to use this opportunity to provide a deep dive to the complex generic drug product process, so you can link not just the research, but to the review and the guidance development. Ultimately, our goal is to provide practical assistance to industry in submitting complete applications with a higher potential for first cycle approval. We hope to achieve this goal together. So before I finish, I want to also let you know that we have future workshops, meetings planned on complex generic drug product. It's not possible to cover all the content within 2 days. So in October next month, FDA and DI will have a co-sponsored workshop in Silver Spring, Maryland, on complex generic drug device combination products. So in this workshop, we only have very brief discussion about this one, but if you want to know more, go to that workshop next month. And in November, as a pre-conference workshop with AAPS, we are going to have a called Flight Simulator Workshop which will give you more hands-on experience to learn how to develop complex generic drug products. If you're interested, find out about information. And in March of next year, we're also going to have a workshop focused on the physiological-based PK modeling for the development and approval of locally acting drug products. All these workshops are going to be in the DC area. So finally, I would like to thank Rob and Chris, Catherine, and Sunila for the development of this presentation, and also our OGD policy and OGD comp staff to help. And we also want to thank all the OS staff and other OGD office and OPQ, OTS for making this workshop so fruitful and so data-driven. So that's it. Thank you.
And thank you, Lei Zhang.